It's the soccer mecca of the A-League with arguably the best fans in the nation. Frontier Field and Rhinos fans awaiting another date with destiny. But there's something different this time around. The Hershey Wildcats have Rochester's number and look to prove it tonight. It won't be easy against a team that dominates at home. And the Rhinos also know how to handle the tension and win the big game. Tonight, soccer fans around the world will see these two bitter rivals square off in the 2001 A-League Championship Final on Fox Sports World. Welcome to Frontier Field in the A-League Final, pitting the defending champion Rochester Raging Rhinos against the Northern Conference champion Hershey Wildcats. Hello everybody, I'm Phil Shane. You are watching the 2001 A-League Championship Final take place here in Rochester. The Rhinos getting set to take on their Northern Conference foes, the team that beat them out for the final, the Hershey Wildcats. Talking about the Northern Conference Championship, it was a tight race, neck and neck throughout the season, but Hershey ended up grabbing the conference crown, and both teams with convincing victories in the semifinals. Joined tonight for this A-League Final telecast by one of the vanquished foes, Vancouver's general manager, Bob Lenarduzzi, the former Canadian head coach. And take a look, a beautiful night for a final.
Absolutely, great weather, great atmosphere, as always is the case in Rochester, and two teams that over the course of the season are worthy of being in this A-League Final.
4 1-0 games between them this year, split evenly. 1-0. What's going to be the difference tonight?
Well, you've got Z. Roberto on the right side for Hershey that is a very direct player, likes to take defenders on. His counterpart on the other side, Martin Nash, is really going to be asked to not be orthodox and move off of that left flank and try to cause problems for Hershey.
Just moments away from the opening kickoff, it's the 2001 A-League Championship Final, and it comes your way next.
The Milwaukee Rampage. Eichel, a second half substitute. Tries to beat Heaney. Yes! Milwaukee wins the A-League.
I'm Rick Stoddard. That's my wife, Marie. She died from smoking cigarettes. She was 46 years old. 46. Now I look back on our lives together and I just keep coming back to, she died at 46 years old. I guess I never thought of 23 as middle-aged.
Wow, that cloud looks like a race car. No way, man. Bill Gray's cheeseburger all the way. That one for sure is a giant anteater. Yeah, right, like an anteater sucking down on a Bill Gray's milkshake. What about that one? Who cares? Let's go get some French fries. From Bill Gray's? Oh, where else?
Attention auto and homeowners, if you want the lowest down payment and lowest rates on insurance, one call will do it all. Mazzola Insurance, 266-7130. Mazzola's one-stop insurance shopping offers over 20 companies to choose from. Stop all the phone book insurance shopping. Call 266-7130. Whether your driving record is good or bad, Mazzola can help. And they've got the lowest rates and down payments. Mazzola is your one-stop insurance shopping center.
USL is your soccer league, and USLsoccer.com is your source for soccer on the internet. From the pros to the grassroots, USLsoccer.com has it covered. There's the USL store with soccer gear you can't get anywhere else. Live video, bringing the game into your home like never before. And the latest news from around the globe is one of the biggest and best internet soccer companies on the planet. Experience the excitement. The official website of United Soccer Leagues, USLsoccer.com, your gateway to the world of soccer.
The new Soccer America magazine. Better, stronger, faster. America's #1 soccer magazine has been reinvented at bionic speed. U.S. national team, MLS, World Cup, WUSA, and the world. To hook up with a special TV offer, call 1-800-335-4625 or log on to socceramerica.com right now.
Tonight's 2001 A-League Championship Final is brought to you by Umbro, by USLsoccer.com, by Thrifty Car Rental, by Choice Hotels, and by Soccer America. Welcome back, just moments away from the opening kick. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Hershey Wildcats. It all starts with John Bush.
John Bush, look for Feniger and Klein up front to initiate the pressure, something this team is very good at. Two key players in that aspect.
Also brought to you by Umbro. Look at the Rochester Raging Rhinos lineup. Scott Vallow in goal. A little bit of a battle there at the end of the season with Bill Andracki, but Vallow ended up winning out. Plenty of talent up front as well.
Oh, plenty of talent up front, but look for Scott Schweitzer at the back. He's been a regular in this A-League championship. Look for him to organize the troops at the back and initiate attacks as well.
Let's welcome the third member of our broadcast crew tonight, down to the sidelines, former Pittsburgh midfielder, Steve Bell. Steve?
Guys, there's no doubt defense is what got both these teams to this championship game. According to Rochester midfielder Lennon Steenkamp, it's going to be offense tonight. Spoke with him moments ago. He says we're confident the Rhinos are going to come out flying.
Well, let's see how high flying they are. As we said, just seconds away from the kick. The Rochester Raging Rhinos in white and black defending the goal to the right of the screen, and wearing the green and attacking in that direction, the Hershey Wildcats. Touched aside, there's going to be some jitters here. You'd expect that the early jitters would go to Hershey.
Well, you would expect that, and I was at last year's A-League final. Rochester absolutely annihilated Minnesota, and right from the outset. So you're right, the jitters, Hershey are going to have to try and get those out of their system.
Tonight's game being brought to you in part without commercial interruption by USLsoccer.com. Ally Walton, part of a triumvirate of outside backs towards the end of the season, but one of them not available tonight, Carl Fletcher, Canadian international, not dressing. Touched into the corner, giving chase. Briefly, Steve Klein, but it will roll across the end line, and it's going to be a goal kick for Scott Vallow.
So what are the difference this year to last year? It's actually the pitch. Last year, the final, the field was very, very slippery. This year, the baseball season finished about a month and a half ago. This turf has been down for that length of time, and it looks very, very solid, and the footing should be good.
Touched aside on the front, into the middle. Headed aside by Henry. Fought for at the top of the box and cleared aside. Out towards the midfield. Lennon Steenkamp heading it down towards the corner. Martin Nash back to Steenkamp. Rolls it across a little bit slow, but Mladenov gets there first. Mentioned it at the A-League Awards banquet yesterday. I think Mladenov might be the best mid-season acquisition in the history of the league. No points with Minnesota for half a year, and he lit it up to challenge leading scorer Lennon Steenkamp before it was all over.
Well, I think Minnesota knew that that he was really just playing out his time there. He obviously wanted to move, and it was proven when he turned up in Rochester that he really, really took his game up a notch.
The Bulgarian field general touching it down the line, giving chase far side. Wilson cross to the middle, back post, slips through and across the end line. Oh, and a golden opportunity for Steenkamp.
Well, Steenkamp, that's what he's good at. He made a late run into the box on the far post. Problem was he didn't expect it. Martin Nash doing a good job of getting that cross in from the right.
Take a look back, and I think it actually might have been Nathan Gibson on the back post. Didn't miss by much.
Well, Gibson gets the ball, and again, guilty of really not expecting it.
Steenkamp back to the middle. Mladenov dancing in the center circle. Pulls the string back, swings it to Sedgwick. Colin Bankov, another one of the Bulgarians on this Rhinos international side. Walton, long ball up front. Henry back to midfield. Nash in the middle. He's listed as a left midfielder, but he's going to be all over the park.
And there you see a classic example of what we talked about off the top. Martin Nash not necessarily isolating himself down the left, and that's when he's dangerous, when he finds those pockets in this zonal defense of Hershey's.
Line to the outside on the overlap. Vinegar, double team, stripped away by Rochester. Foul called. Let's take a look at the Umbro keys to victory. First of all, for Hershey, what do they have to do tonight?
Well, Hershey have to put the pressure on early, and they're trying to do that early in this game, but they're having problems because Rochester are spreading them out.
And as far as the Rhinos?
Well, the Rhinos do exactly that. Use the whole width of the field, make sure that they're mobile, try not to be static. Hershey tend to be very static in their play. Rochester need to move people around, and so far they're doing that.
As you might be able to hear in the microphones, it is a windy night in Rochester, a warm one at that though. Gibson making the run in the middle, touches it, deflects it back post. It's Steenkamp. Pressured by Henning. Nash behind. Steenkamp, the Rhinos MVP, appealing for the foul. He's going to get it. Eric Simmons, the referee, blows the whistle.
And that's something that Steenkamp is very, very good at. Very comfortable on the ball. Was under pressure there, kept his team in possession, and draws a nice early foul, which will put the Hershey defense under pressure.
Chip Reed, Richard Eddy, the assistants tonight on the bench. Kevin Barcia, the fourth official. A little bit too far for the typical Mladenov player. He has scored some doozies this year from free kicks. Chips it back into the middle. Gibson, glancing header, too far off target. Goal kick for Hershey.
Well, if I'm Bob Lilly now sitting on the bench, well, you see his counterpart there, Pat Erkley. He has to be happy with this start. Bob Lilly, on the other hand, is going to need to weather this storm for at least another 10 minutes.
Both of these teams playing a 4-4-2, but Hershey more of a traditional one with a defensive midfielder in Chad Evans. Lennon Steenkamp, in fact, for much of this season before Mladenov got here, was asked to push forward. He's still doing that in his game, so there could be a hole in the central part of the midfield for Hershey to take advantage of.
Well, exactly, and what Hershey needs to do is make sure that they track players. This zonal system of Bob Lilly's is going to be put under great pressure tonight simply because of the fact that Rochester are going to move players around.
Nice move by Nash. Cross short post, cleared by Kopp. Over Vinegar, won by the Rhinos. Nice move by Wilson. Dancing around, looking for help. Still loose, Nash volleys it off target. Had to go from 18.
Had to go, not a great goal by Martin Nash's standard, but what you can see here is that anytime Rochester lose possession in Hershey's half, they're putting them under pressure. This is a result of Martin Nash making a great effort. Bounces nice for him, but hits it on the half volley and doesn't connect.
Up to Vinegar. Evans slams it upfield. Rhinos back. Bonko. Nash. Flying. Over him. Vinegar. Outside. Zé Roberto. Soft chip. But not soft enough.
But what Hershey need to do right now is they need to keep possession of the ball, something they did very, very well against us in the first leg of the semifinal in Vancouver. Right now, they're not being allowed to do that, but they have to try to get a hold of the ball to take some pressure off the defense.
Gibson glances. Bush almost runs into his own man. Cleared to midfield. Bush slow coming back. Steenkamp sees it. Gibson to the outside. Too much. Mladenov keeps it in. Kopp over. Both players down. Foul called, and it will be a free kick for Hershey.
Great discipline defending there. Mladenov shaped up to cross it. Kopp didn't go for it, and in the end, Kopp gets a handball. But that's an example of good individual defending by Kopp.
Players on the field. We've already advanced into the 8th minute, and fans still piling their way into the stadium. Due to fire rules and regulations, only allowed to have about 13,500. They'll be pushing that to the seams before tonight is over.
They will be pushing it to the seams, and you talked about all of the different countries that will be watching this game tonight. What a great advertisement for American soccer that they get to see this final with two great teams in the final.
Nice pressure near side, but he can't control the hop. Vinegar.
And that's what Fenniger's going to need to do more of. Fenniger and Klein up front are going to have to try and get some pressure on this back four of Rochester.
Henry. Mladenoff steals. Back for Gibson. Slips through to Wilson. Stutter step. Top down. Clears. Henry takes care of business. Back to midfield.
Phil, interesting talking to Pat Erkley today. He wasn't happy with with Martin Nash. Came into camp 15 pounds overweight, but if you look at him tonight, he's obviously shed that weight. He's had a great start.
A more descriptive way of putting it.
He did. I've lightened up a little bit.
Touch to the middle. Watson, perhaps one of the more underrated attacking midfielders in the league. Down the line, hops out. Hershey can't get there. This field, close to a full 120 yards long, but because of the normal baseball configuration, doesn't quite make it out to the full 70, but not that narrow. No, still, it was a concern for Hershey.
Well, it was a concern. It isn't that narrow, and teams that complain about that really need to just get on with it. The venue, the atmosphere that you have here is second to none.
Stolen, Klein, deflected, corner kick.
Well, there you have an example of what Pat Erkley was concerned about. Didn't want his team taking unnecessary risks at the back. And Kyle Sword was the player that dispossessed the Rochester defender, and now Hershey have themselves a corner.
Sword's normally a defender, pushed into the midfield. He showed some of that history there. In-swinger, too much on it, no one back post. Sedgwick pushing up, making the run. Wilson in the middle. They look for him, they get him, deflected, and Henry back the other way. Hershey starting to come out of the shell. They've worn the first storm.
Well, it's interesting, Phil, because I even get caught up in the game. Rochester had a lot of early pressure, but when you think about it, they really didn't have a good opportunity. John Bush wasn't asked to make a save, and as you say, now the game's starting to settle down a bit.
Klein, short touch, Top handles it well, slams it upfield. Balls in the air are going to be a nightmare tonight, considering the wind.
Well, the wind is a bad element for soccer. You've got rain, you've got whatever other element you can have. But wind really plays havoc with the game.
A few fireworks in the distance, but none yet here at Frontier Field. Steenkamp brings it down. Making the run. Gallicon dispossessed. Morinos up the line. Good recovery. And it's out on the near side for a throw-in for Hershey.
You talked about the systems, Phil. Two teams playing 4-4-2 against each other can sometimes be like a chess match. Somebody's going to have to break down. Somebody's going to have to be unorthodox. And of the two teams, you would expect Rochester to do that. But Hershey have settled down nicely after what looked like an explosive start by Rochester.
Trinidadian Nigel Henry up the line. Zé Roberto, the Brazilian. So a couple of internationals on Hershey's side. Quick throw in. Looking for Klein. Part of a Bowling Green contingent here tonight. More on that later. There's the Brazilian from Pastos Bons. Then Ruro Maranhão. A lot of talent, not the flashy goal scorer you normally would expect from a Brazilian, but is a very good goal creator.
Very good goal creator, very comfortable on the ball. In that regard, is very Brazilian-like in that he's comfortable on the ball and will create opportunities for others.
The South African Gibson brings it down, but can't get past Kopp in the back. Ally Walton heads it back up for the black and white. Mladenoff, delicate touch. Wilson on the run and cleared away. Hershey playing it safe.
Well, that's one thing when you play a flat back four, as both teams are doing. This was a good ball through here from Mladenoff. Just a little bit heavy. Good job of covering around by that Hershey defender.
Throwing on the far side, just about 15 yards away from the end line. Walton bounds in the 6. That's a dangerous chance. Schweitzer rolls it. Mladenoff tees it up. Was it deflected? Goal kick.
Obviously not.
Stoyan Mladenoff, you cannot give him an inch.
No, you can't. And we've had a lot of experience with him in Vancouver. He killed us in last year's quarterfinals by creating the types of opportunities that he does from midfield. You look at John Bush here, one of the things he's also good at, aside from shot stopping, is his kicking. And you see there, he gets it well into the Rochester half.
Will that be minimized by the wind? Obviously on that play, no, because he put it right on the spot. Awkward clearance by Henning. Not much better from Henry. Klein challenges. Bankov on defense, still bounding around. Flipped forward by Sedgwick. Marinos has looked nervous. He's actually one of the 3 or 4 players for Hershey that's a little bit nicked, and Bob Lilly admitted earlier today that Marinos was the one that was most seriously injured. A little bit of a knee problem that kept him out of practice until Thursday.
I would think it would have to take something very, very serious to keep a player out of a final of this magnitude. And one of the things that Bob Lilly did say was that he wasn't overly concerned. He just felt that they were taking a little bit of extra rest. But needless to say, and in actuality, it was the Vancouver Whitecaps that banged them up a little bit. Perhaps they weren't too pleased with the fact that we were going 4-1 down.
Bankov. Steenkamp. Foul. Free kick, Hershey. Whistle blows, and Shimmons has a little bit of a word for the Rhinos captain.
Bankov, or Schweitzer plays the ball into Steenkamp. Steenkamp miscontrols it, and as he does, the ball pops up, and then he's forced into giving a foul away.
Fettiger back to the outside. Marinos switches, but not closely to get to Zederberto. Scott Vallow, the other member of the Bowling Green contingent, on opposite sides.
Well, Scott Vallow found himself sitting on the bench through part of the season, and part of that was as a result of the fact that he was coming in, and I guess he was feeling pretty good about himself, and as a result of that, the switch was made, put Andrecki back in the net, and now Scott Vallow finds himself back in the championship game, in fact having played the last 3 games.
Hershey getting a throw in deep in their own end. Walton gets his noggin to it. Mladenoff not one to shy away. Schweitzer, Defender of the Year candidate, and arguably the best defender day in, day out in the league.
No
you
question.
might have one of your guys, Rick Titus, actually pulled the award this year.
Titus did win it, and deserving. He had a great year, but if you look at Schweitzer, one of the things he's a model of is consistency. He's good year after year.
Steenkamp holds his footing. Nash all the way on the far side, bending it to the spot. Pop heads it out. Cleared by Swords. Bankov steps up. Sedgwick. Steenkamp with a heel flip. Here comes Hershey the other way. Swords. Nice ball. Zederberto. Klein making a run. Handball. No call.
Once again, Martin Nash doing a good job of getting back and defending. Not one of the stronger aspects of his game, but when he's committed to it, he's more of a cunning type of defender than he is one that will just run around for the sake of doing so.
Switch. Mladenoff. Actually, Bankov. Walton. Back to Bankov. Former MLS defender stepping into the attack. Mladenoff, the other Bulgarian. Bankov slams it, deflects it. Bush out to grab it.
Well, they're running into a sea of Hershey players. One of the success that Rochester seemed to have early on.
Take a look, Doug Miller.
Well, Doug Miller obviously coming back to Rochester, very popular with the crowd here. I'm sure he'd like nothing better than to come off the bench and perhaps score the game winner. That would be fairy tale type stuff.
Klein fighting his way through, but coming away with it. That Rhinos defense. It was 1-on-4. You're not going to beat those odds very often.
No, definitely not.
Up the line. Stolen by the green-clad Wildcats. Promptly stolen back by Mladenoff. Mladenoff coming over at the age of 22. Much of his professional success earned on this side of the Atlantic. Bankov on the other side, the other Bulgarian. A member of the 1994 Bulgarian World Cup squad and could have been coming to the U.S. until a poorly timed knee injury. Actually, one of his best friends, Hristo Stoichkov, was the player who got him into surgery. In fact, Stoichkov, the godfather of Bankov's daughter, those two very close, and it was Stoichkov who brought Bankov over here, and I'm sure the Rhinos hope it will bring one more championship to Rochester.
Sure they would.
Henry
you'd look at Mladenoff, and he's someone at 22 years of age. You'd think that if he can continue to do what he's doing, that he might also have a chance to play himself into that Bulgarian squad.
Steenkamp cleared aside, off the boards, and it's going to be a throw in near side, about 20 yards out.
Rochester had success early on, and if you recall back to those early moments, they were getting a lot of balls out wide and getting good crosses into the box. That hasn't happened in the last 10-15 minutes. They're trying to go down the middle, and that's playing into the strength of this Hershey squad.
19th minute, back to Vankov. Up the middle. Double team to his Gibson. Nash showing some of that speed, but the field just not long enough as the drum beat rolls on. Nash, obviously, for many American sports fans, the brother of Steve Nash, a pretty fair soccer player in his own right.
Very fair soccer player. And Steve Nash, I actually gave him his debut in Canada's national team when I was the coach against El Salvador, and he had a great game on that day. And he's the type of player that can open up a game, and that's what we're seeing today here. Last year's A-League final, he was the man of the match as far as I was concerned.
Down to Wilson. Henry running out of real estate. End line. Nice work. Down the line. Foul called. Free kick Hershey. And speaking of Hershey, let's go down to midfield. Steve Bell, what's going on with the Wildcats?
So far, it looks like it's all Rochester just behind the Hershey bench, though. Bob Lilly's shouting out instructions to his team. He's happy with the way the Wildcats are double teaming the ball. He's content with the way they're playing defense right now. So far, everything going well for Hershey.
Goal kick, or make that free kick upcoming for Bush. 0.60 goals against in the regular season. Believe it or not, he's done even better in the postseason. Hasn't given up a goal yet.
Hasn't conceded a goal. And when he played in Vancouver in Hershey's 4-0 win, I was very, very impressed with him. Commands his box well, good shot stopper, and as I said earlier, very, very good with his feet. And that's an important element of the goalkeeping position now with the advent of not being able to pick the ball up with their hands.
Klein. Evans to the moon.
Well, one of the things that Bob Lilly talked about today in his preparation was he didn't want to resort to hitting long, hopeful balls. And to a certain extent, Rochester have forced Hershey into that. They haven't had a lot of time on the ball to try to adopt a slower build-up.
Throw in near side for Hershey. Started out pretty much all Rochester in the early going. A couple minutes stretch with Hershey starting to push into the attack, and right now it's about 50-50. Neither team actually able to get any quality chances through the defense, and two of the best defenses in the league. Hershey the best, you can understand.
Well, and that's why I think Bob Lilly is quite content right now. I'm sure he had a few anxious moments early on, but as we said, and as you've indicated, no real difficult saves for Bush to make.
The one chance coming in the very early going that slipped through the box, and perhaps a little too cleanly because it caught Nathan Gibson, the big South African, unawares of the back post. That's really the only chance inside the 6:05 for either team. Walton near side. A little bit of a push from Zé Roberto.
And either by design or simply because of the fact that Rochester are taking the initiative, you can see that Hershey aren't able to put the pressure on as early as they'd like to.
Wilson knocked to the turf. Oh, the referee thinks about it, says no. Quick throw in, touched aside. It'll go Rochester's way, right in front of the Hershey bench. Wilson cleared aside. Watson comes up limping. If you can hear in the background the song Relax, I don't know if anyone's relaxed at this place right now. Mladenoff to the outside for Sedgwick. Poor pass. Schweitzer had pushed up. There's a hole in the back. Klein dances around, but too hard on the last touch. Walton touches it off the Hershey forward, and it's a throw-in far side near the stripe.
Well, Klein had a lengthy run there, but once again, going back to Hershey's game in Vancouver, one of the things that they did well against us, aside from defending, was the fact that they played 1 and 2 touch. They never let you get near the ball, and right now they're seeming to run a lot with it, probably because that's what Rochester are forcing them to do.
Mladenoff steals from Watson. If they can keep him out there, no problem. Sedgwick on the overlap. Whistles in the cross, but off target. That's really what Rochester's going to try and do.
Well, you see Sedgwick running back there, and that's something he's very, very good at, overlapping from his fullback position. I'm sure he'd like that cross back again because he did have a good opportunity, a good look, and he shanked it behind the goal.
Talking with Pat Ercole earlier today, he said, especially down that right side, because Martin Nash, more of a slasher, more of an interior player from the left side, but they believe if they can get down the flank on the right side, get across inside, that the Hershey defense will be vulnerable. Vallow lets it bounce.
And that is one of the areas that we did have some success in against Hershey, in that when we floated balls into the box, they were under some pressure at that point, and I know that Pat Ercole watched the game film of that game, and he commented on that as well. So that's probably why we saw that happening early on, but it hasn't happened for the last 10-15 minutes.
24th minute, just past the midway point. John Bush, very good distributor, very good reaction keeper. You wonder if the wind might cause a few problems on some long shots that might come up tonight.
Difficult to say which way the wind is going, but you're right. If you can connect on a strike, that's why Lennon Steenkamp, I thought, had one bouncing for him early in the box, early in the game, and he chose not to strike it.
Zederberto wins the throw in deep. Henning steps up. If Zederberto can get to the end line, it could be all over. Long throw, no one there.
Well, that's a great throw.
By Vallow, that is.
Yeah, by Vallow. The previous throw wasn't a bad one either. It's simply that Hershey didn't have the staggered runs to get in on top of it.
Nice quick touch. Rochester on the counter. Gibson screaming for it, but Wilson had the alley shut down on him quickly. Malatnoff. Chip. Gibson. Header towards the spot. And nice play by Henry, not just getting it out of there, but hitting a target, Kyle Swords.
Nigel Henry did well there. He was under pressure, managed to hold off the attacker and clear the ball away from danger. And as you say, not only clear it out, but pick out a teammate.
Far side, Walton. Nash. Steenkamp. Gibson fighting Henry. Bob Lilly said it would be zonal as a foul call, but
I just love Nigel Henry. You see him there in his own end, in fact, almost in his own penalty box. Bob Lilly urging his team probably to push out more. So now look at Henry here. Has the confidence to hold off the attacker and try and turn in a tight area. In the end, draws a foul, and justifiably so.
Long ball upfield. Trickles out just past midfield, and Henning with the throw-in. 6 fouls so far on the evening. Offside. Flag stays down. Zederberto brings it down. Malatnoff clears it out. Henry with pressure. Knuckleball. Kopp just puts it high in the air, and everyone gets a chance to regroup. Gibson strong in the air. Marinos.
Well, Marinos does a great job there, and that's what a left fullback is supposed to do. Come round on the cover and make sure he gives the 2 central defenders that ability to let them know that if the ball gets in behind him, he's going to be there to tidy up. And Marinos did a great job of that.
Another one of the differences in the 4-4-2, a little bit more of that pure rotation defense from Hershey.
Exactly.
Could have been a handball. Referee right there says no. Gibson can't control and chops down his own man. I wonder if that's a message to pass earlier next time.
Well, it probably is. One of the things that Rochester haven't done since that initial 10 minutes is they haven't been able to get good possession, and that's something that really Hershey are forcing them not to be able to do. They're putting the ball under pressure. Anytime the ball goes into the front man, there's a toe in. Anytime the ball goes into the middle of the park, there's a Hershey player there.
Throw in just shy of midfield, down the line, offside flag comes up. Still scoreless, 28th minute. What's going on the Rhinos bench, Steve?
Well, guys, head coach Pat Ercole is really happy with his outside midfielders. He's urging his teammates to get the ball wide, get it to Sedgwick, get it outside on the left side, and let them work on the outside. He said that's where the openings are right now.
You agree?
Well, He and I must be on the same wavelength. The ball has to get wide. If they continue to play down the middle, which they have done for the last little bit, they're going to run into a wall of Hershey defenders. They've got to get the ball wide and get good quality crosses into the box. Nash down the left, Sedgwick down the right.
Kopp, nice touch. Henry under pressure, double team, deflected clearance, push off his line quickly. That one was about a millimeter away from being a replay of Bill Andracki's nightmare.
Well, you want Nigel Henry to be confident on the ball at the back. I don't know if you want him taking that many risks. I'm sure Bob Lilly's heart was in his mouth at that point.
Talk about Andracki's nightmare, more on that later, but that's one of the reasons Scott Vallow's back in the nets for the Rhinos. Headed towards the Rhinos goal. Hennig, bending ball, back to midfield. Evans, I think he lost a lace on that one. Cleared back, Stoyan Mladenov, Bankov, far side, here's Nash. Down the line for Wilson. Henry giving chase, 6'3", 185 pounds of him. Forces the ball back to Steenkamp. Steenkamp with time. Diving header, clears it aside by Evans. Fought for. Awkward clearance by the Brazilian Zé Roberto. Touch back to Bankov. Sedgwick. Good ball. Wilson to Gibson on the turn. Hershey, they're stunned right now. Nash, shot. Didn't get enough on it.
And that's where Nash is good, and then he can go inside and he can go outside. And on that occasion, he got inside, chose to take a shot, didn't get a lot on it though.
Hershey's made it through a half hour. Can they get the quick counter? Swords, Evans, chips it, open, back post. Klein drops. Sword shot, deflected clearance by Walton. Nice effort by Evans. Walton deflected out. Throw in Rochester.
You talk about a nice effort by Chad Evans. If you look for Chad Evans, he's going to be always in the vicinity of Mladenov in the middle of the park, and that although they won't go man for man, he's going to be very, very aware of Mladenov.
Feniger was the player with that nice touch on the near side of the box. Touches it back for Watson this time, and it's a little soft. A little bit of a counter punch by Hershey. Shot! Steenkamp off target, but a good idea tonight.
No, that's what you want. You got the wind playing havoc with the ball. Steenkamp elects to take a shot there from what is a long distance. And you can see as soon as he takes that second touch, he's got his head up as a whack, but unfortunately doesn't get over top of it, but well worth the effort.
Just keeping the defense honest a touch. Third shot of the night. Rhinos have it. There you take a look. Hershey still looking for its first.
Well, and when you consider the 3 shots that Rochester have had, none of them have really tested John Bush.
Well, in fact, it was the one non-shot that was probably the most dangerous. Here's a chance for Feniger. Slots it through Klein. Back heel. Zé Roberto can't get there. Klein shot just wide.
Good effort by Klein. Good ball into the box. Perhaps a little fortunate on the turn. I'm not so sure if he meant it.
I thought he was passing it. He might have just been passing it to himself.
Well, he was turning to himself. Great turn. Never really got the feeling that he was going to score from there, but regardless, still a very good effort by Klein.
Klein against his former teammate, Scott Vallow from Bowling Green. There's a third Falcon here tonight. Fred DeGan on the bench for Hershey. But interestingly enough, Klein's senior season, Vallow and Klein going out for a night on the town, sitting down together and talking about a night where they would be on opposite sides fighting for a championship. It's here tonight, and here you go.
Exactly. Scott Vallow just took a goal kick, and you can tell that the wind must be going side to side, but because the distance he got on that goal kick was well into the Hershey half. Both keepers very good kickers of the ball.
Henning to Kopp pushing forward. Dispossessed in the midfield. Mladenov. Not a lot of white shirts up front, only Wilson. So Hershey doesn't lose anything there. Sedgwick to Wilson. Double teamed. Nigel Henry, a little bit of shirt tugging going on, draws the foul.
And it looked like Henry on that occasion had been turned by Kirk Wilson, but there you saw a great example of the pressure. Look at this. Well, this is the foul, actually. We didn't see what took place before that. And that, to me, as a coach, is a stupid foul. You've got the player under pressure in his own end, and Kirk Wilson lets him off the hook. Hershey get a free kick.
Marinos brings it down, left puts it forward. Watson, nice touch, but Klein was offside.
Well, Pat Ercole, that flag didn't go up very quick, and Pat Ercole was up off the bench, not too happy with the fact that it didn't go up quicker than it did.
Second offside against the Wildcats. Back in his place is Pat. Touch to the middle. Mladenoff had fallen asleep. Cleared all the way out. Throw in coming up. So what do you think? We've gone through a half hour so far. Anyone have the advantage, or are they playing along to their game plan?
I think they're both playing along to their game plans. Rochester, as the home team with the crowd behind them, having had success at home, are taking the initiative. Hershey, on the other hand, are doing a good job, not really giving up any quality chances. So both teams have played the way that they're capable of playing.
Zé Roberto in a foot race with Malo Walton. The experienced veteran draws the foul. A little bit of over-exuberance.
Well, Zé Roberto there again, similar to Kirk Wilson at the other end. You don't need to do that. You've got him under pressure in his end. Don't give the foul away.
Of course, that's one of those maturity lessons that takes you to the next level. Nigel Henry down crumpled to the turf. They're going to stop play as Henry needs some help. Didn't see what happened.
No,
like the ball maybe in the air and a collision of heads. 35th minute. Talked about Hershey stepping up to the occasion. Let's take a look at this free kick from Schweitzer.
Henry going up for the challenge. Can't identify the Rochester player, but it looks like he may have caught a bit of an elbow.
Maybe Nathan Gibson, and I agree. It does look like the elbow came out. So did Bob Lilly.
Well, Bob Lilly, I think he is upset with Nathan Gibson, or he's upset with the referee, suggesting that that's the third time that that's happened.
Well, we were talking earlier today about Nigel Henry and how he appears to play so much bigger than he actually is. For a guy that tall, only 185 pounds, I guess on a night like this, you're almost surprised he doesn't blow off the field.
Well, you're right. For a big guy, there's not much meat on him, but he certainly is effective at the back.
Steps off because the clock stopped and promptly back on as Rochester regroups. Talking about stepping up to the occasion. A nice move by Sedgwick. Long ball in the air. Bush comes down with it, deflecting off of Gibson and out of play.
Bush doing well there to come off of his line. Long ball here, great ball to the far post. Commits Bush from his line, catches the ball on its way down. He actually bumps it into Gibson, and it goes out for a goal kick.
Long ball up the line, and Kyle Swords loses his edge.
Kyle Swords is primarily an attacking left-sided player, but he's spending most of his night tonight tracking back Sedgwick down that right flank. And in the case of Sword, I'm sure he's happy to do that on a night like tonight where they're having to soak up the pressure, but he also is very dangerous going forward. As we found out, he scored the first 2 goals in Vancouver against us.
Poor clearance by Kopp. Long-range blast just wide of the far post. Oh my, what a shot.
Kirk Wilson with a good strike, but I like Bush. Look at Bush here on his line, and he knows that that's going wide. Great confidence.
All in the eyes.
Yep.
Of course, again, Chris Marinos giving up the ball.
Yes.
Here's Zé Roberto. Doesn't dance around the middle of the park that much. Swords, Walton intercepts, headed wide to Steenkamp. Rochester's done this before. They can soak up the pressure. Watson, Klein onside. Cross. And a little bit of holding going on. Doug Watson couldn't fight free.
Well, what Hershey needs to do when they get into those good crossing positions, they need to get a few more players in the box. I looked up and I saw 5 or 6 Rochester defenders and only 2 Hershey players, so they're going to need to commit a few more players into the attack when they get into those types of positions.
Here's Swords. It's end to end. That one got down to the end a little too quickly.
But one of the things I know that we talked about was hoping that it wasn't going to be a 0-0 game. But in actuality, if it's this kind of game, it's really not a problem. It's an entertaining game, even though there haven't been many goals.
Nash around one, around a second. Henry brings it down, and a soft touch up the line. Chopped down is Roberto. That's a foul. That could be a yellow card. It will be.
I mean, I'm not so sure about that. One of the things I don't like seeing from opposing players is when they motion to the referee that they want the card. I really think that that's uncalled for. You look at Roberto here, collects it, does a nice job of eluding Martin Nash, and you know what? I take it all back. Probably worth a yellow card. That's the beauty of free plays.
John Bush, Scott Vallow. And actually, I'm wondering if Vallow's going to have a go.
I'll tell you what, I was looking at Vallow, and he was looking up and thinking, hey, he's a long way out, but I don't think you'd have to have a real good kick to get that from that end to the other.
Although knowing John Bush, he might have a shot before the second half is over.
Well, the fact that he's coming out taking free kicks on the just inside their own half just indicates how good he is when he's distributing the ball with his feet.
39th minute, approaching the 40th. Top of the 18, fought loose, Klein on it, Vinegar up, back post run, Swords, loose, shot to Roberto, still loose, Vinegar fights, cleared away finally by Martin Nash.
Oh. Good action.
Wilson. Rhinos in the black and the white. Attacking from the left to the right. And that might have been the best opportunity of the night there. And again, Hershey comes away without a shot. Steenkamp. Walton. Schweitzer. Henning against Gibson. That's almost unfair when you see those two running for a ball.
Henning did well. He used his body to get himself in between Gibson and the ball, and let the ball simply run out of play for a goal kick. But that last ball was an example of, I'm sure, that Pat Erickley really doesn't want Rochester resorting to hitting hopeful long balls.
Throw in upcoming, far side. Rochester will have it. Not a heck of a lot of time to be added on in the first half. Really only the one little nick to Nigel Henry.
Now, a very well-played game. Good tackles, but nothing nasty taking place.
Walton under pressure. Here's that, I guess the best equivalent would be forechecking going on.
That's right. Use a hockey term.
Outside. Nash. Sedgwick. Nice move. Steenkamp. Guts and glory right there. Klein. Onside. Watson. Vinegar. Foul. Outside the area.
Sedgwick not happy, and if I were in his shoes, I wouldn't be happy either. Sedgwick did a great job of tracking back there and simply just got himself goal side.
It looked like it was shoulder to shoulder. Did we get a chance on the replay? Maybe if there was some shirt tugging, but I think you're right.
Well, the ball played through. Schweitzer calling for an offside, but no, it really was a question of Sedgwick doing a good job as a defender, getting back goal side.
Quick restart, too quick. The referee, Eric Simmons, was close also, but it looked like he was shielded a little bit.
A little bit, and I think the Hershey attacker, and I couldn't quite identify who it was, took a dive, and he got himself a free kick as a result.
Kyle Swords stepping up. Vinegar also there. Leaning to his back post, Vallow. Five-man wall. It's Swords. It's over.
Our conversation with Bob Lilly today was this. He suggested that he would love a Mladenov in his side for those types of situations. And Swords had a go at trying to bend the ball over the wall, but really it wasn't a very good effort.
Up the near side, Sedgwick. Dalicon, who has been practically non-existent in the first half. Sedgwick starting to lose his cool a bit. Probably still a few words about that last foul.
Wasn't happy.
Walton far side. Nash behind. Good cross-field ball on the diagonal to Wilson. Double teamed, chopped down, danger zone for Mladenov.
And that ball we saw from Martin Nash, their diagonal ball, that's the way to break down a zonal defense, is to try to shift the point of attack. And right now, Rochester have a good opportunity. Look for Steenkamp to try to get on the edge of this in the box.
Not the angle for the right-footed player, but you always have to keep an eye on that near post.
Oh, and Hershey simply marking zonal here as well.
5 white jerseys in the box. Mladenov for Bankoff. Goal kick.
Looked dangerous, but Bankoff was never going to get there. Good cross from the back. Avoided Bush coming off of his line, collecting it. Here we see it. Ball clipped to the far post. Bush coming off his line, but as I said, Bankoff never really looked like he was going to get there.
Chance for Feniger.
And is it any surprise that we're nearing the end of the first half and there aren't any goals when you consider that in 4 meetings this year, it was 1-0, each team winning 2 games.
Watson looking for Klein. Bankoff heads it out far side near the stripe. Quick throw in from Henning. Feniger in the corner. Not exactly sure what that one was.
Well, that was as a result of very good pressure. 2 Rochester players, Schweitzer coming across to double team and forcing a poor ball out of play.
'45th into the 46th minute with 2 minutes to be added. Throw in for Rochester. Poor play by Nash. Klein. Good defense on the recovery.
And there you saw a great example of why Scott Schweitzer is an A-League All-Star. Good one-on-one challenge.
Bankoff out. Zé Roberto, but Swords had already pinched in. Vallo holding on and letting the time wind down.
And it is winding down at this point with both teams. Well, I'm sure in the case of Rochester, being the home side, that they'd like to be up at this point. So in Bob Lilly's shoes, you've got to be happy, not really conceded any quality opportunities. Going at halftime 0-0. You've taken the crowd out of the game to a certain extent as well.
Here's Malai Walton touching it back and cleared away by Schweitzer. Only as far as Zé Roberto. Attacking to the left and a little bit too far and off target. That last touch has failed Hershey all night long.
Well, they haven't been able to really, once they've gotten into the final third, they haven't been able to keep comfortable possession. And as you say, when they've got there, the service hasn't been very good. On the flip side, though, when you think about Rochester, you think about the dominance that they have at this park, and you consider the fact that they've not had one quality chance, that really reflects well on Hershey.
Throw in far side. Not much time left. Not any time left. Eric Simmons blows the whistle. First half comes to a close. Some jitters from Hershey, but the scoreboard still looks beautiful.
Well, some jitters early on, but they've settled down quite nicely. Rochester have had most of the territorial play, but haven't been able to convert that into quality chances, let alone goals.
Take a look at Rochester. What's going on in their mind right now?
Well, they can't be too bothered at this point because on the other end, they really haven't conceded any opportunities either. But this Hershey team is the type of side that lulls you and then catches you on the counter. So that's something they're going to have to be very aware of.
Well, let's find out from the field general of this Hershey team himself, Bob Lilly, joining Steve Bell on the sideline. Steve?
Yeah, here with head coach Bob Lilly. So far, you got to be happy with what you've seen. You took the crowd out of it. How's your team going to get more chances in the second half?
Well, I think we got to make more of an effort to get runs behind the defense. We're playing in front of them, and we want to be a little more aggressive. First 20 minutes was difficult for us, but I thought the last 25, we started to force some turnovers, and we did do some nice stuff getting out of the midfield. Now we got to create a few more opportunities, hopefully stick one in the back of the net.
Thanks, luck. Good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thanks, Steve.
See what happens in the second half. But we talked earlier today, you had the chance to see a flashback from A-League championships gone by. We'll be doing it throughout today. And let's take a look back to 1994.
Clearly the intent on the free kick is to bend the ball around and beat that man in goal, Mark Dodd.
Here's Harbour. Harbour!
What's new at DeUville College? Just ask DeUville graduates John Tavares and Micah Kersey of the Buffalo Bandits. They'll tell you about the new 4-year information technology program and a new 5-year 2-degree program that combines a bachelor's in information technology with a master's in international business. If you really want to get in the game, you've got to be ready to play. Find out more. Call DeUville College at 1-800-777-3921. That's 1-800-777-3921. DeUville College, we're all about you.
What's the only sport that pays you to be a fan? Soccer? Baseball? Football? No, horse racing at Off-Track Betting. Last week alone, OTB paid lucky fans $2 million. $2 million! Get in on all the exciting action from tracks around the country and be a winning fan. You'll find it all at the Off-Track Betting Parlor nearest you. OTB, where it really pays to be a fan. It's your best bet. OTB, the home of Batavia Downs.
Want low prices? We've got them at the Don Allison Factory Outlet. Jeans, $9.95, just in time for back to school. Urban Streetwear, priced right. Coyote Vision Eyewear, $11.99 a pair. Pick your style. Winter jackets, $54.95 to $99.95. We've got you covered with tons of teams in stock. Speaking of covered, we've got thousands of hats from $6.95 to $12.95. You've never seen anything like it. Check out our huge piles of tees and sweats, 3 for $5. And as always, we have loads of stuff starting as low as $1. Don Allison Factory Outlet, 2921 Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, 272-1010.
For a great car at a great rate, call or click Thrifty.
The over 3,300 choice hotels in the U.S. and the Caribbean just want to thank everyone for traveling again and getting back to experiencing the power of being there.
They come from nearby towns and